What it is, what it was, what it shall be. Hello, all, and welcome to the Not All There podcast. I am your host, Chad. I am really excited about this episode that is coming up. Finally was able to get somebody to come over to my house. It wasn't that they didn't want to. I didn't have anyone to reach out to. It just, I was like death warmed over. So my friend Ryan stopped by, and Ryan is a very important person in my life, in my sobriety. I met Ryan on like day 3 of being sober, and he has just been there for me the entire way. And I have this meeting that I do at my house every Thursday. We've been doing it here for, we are very close to being in year number, I think 8 or 9. Year number 9, I think. And he has been like a fixture in that meeting from the very beginning. And I really can't say enough about him. The words really won't express how important he is. He's a funny guy, extremely talented person, and just really, he works a sober life. And what he and I talk about, it's really good. We dance around a little bit because we're just kind of goofy friends talking, but we really get down to the nuts and bolts, if you will, of what it is like to be a sober adult, what his life was like when he was drinking, and the things that transpired when he was sober, and how he was able to overcome. We share a pretty wild story. He's overcome some things being sober. And so I shall step out of the way. I would like you to sit down, buckle up. You're really going to like this one, and sit back and enjoy my conversation with my dear friend Ryan. So the reason you haven't listened to the show was why?
Okay, so the reason I haven't listened to the show, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is that, as we discussed in other places, is that I'm extremely competitive.
No.
In a lot of things. I won't say everything. I mean, like if it were like gum chewing or ping pong, I could, I'm not super invested in that. But I knew you said you had a podcast, and then I gathered someone else was the first guest. And so I was immediately, just fuck this. I'm out. I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to listen to this fucking thing. I'm done. And then
so great.
Now I know I looked at the listing a few times, and I see the other people you picked, and they're great choices all. Yeah. And I don't blame you, frankly, for not picking me. I'm amazed I made the cut at all. But there was that one reason. And then the other thing was, and this is going to sound immodest, but I thought there might be a chance at some point you might ask me, because we're friends, and I didn't want to come in sort of coached from having heard the other people's.
No, that's takes. Great. That's great.
Because I already know a lot of these folks passing well, and I didn't want to have in head like how their thing went.
Right.
I mean, so now that we've done this, I'll probably go and listen to theirs. I'll never listen to mine.
Oh no, you should. It'll be good.
No, I can't do it.
There's a reason why.
Listen to the other ones.
It's funny you bring this up, because I was going to make a point of this. The reason why I asked you when I did is, actually, you were somebody I considered for the first one.
Sure. Backtrack.
No, really, it was. But I picked Rich because we're like so goofy together. I thought that if it just flamed out, at least we had fun doing it.
I mean, probably 4 hours of just random conversation.
It was just weird shit. But like I had Jim on previously, and I wanted to have you and Jim kind of later on, because I wanted to have more of an idea of what I was doing.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So the other guys, like, fuck them. They were all like trial and error. Like, sorry.
Butt hurt over here.
But I have a plan. Well, you should definitely listen to them. I had a question. I don't know why this popped in my head, but were you a smoker?
Oh yeah.
Would you smoke? Were you a clove guy?
I maybe I smoked from when I was 12 until I was 24.
Wow. So you like were a smoker in high school then?
Yeah.
Were you like in the smoking group kind of thing? Or?
No, I was in my own group.
Did I turn? I thought I turned my thing off. I did.
It's mine.
Oh, okay. We have the same buzz, though. We have the same free. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't. I should never leave that thing down here.
Yeah.
I've like put it on the rug, and you can hear it on the rug.
I think I'm just gonna throw mine into the street.
Oh fuck, dude! I want to put mine in the lake.
Oh my god. So I went to a private all boys high school, and I was just like one of the metal kids. Okay. And I was also like one of the atheist kids. So there was a struggle right from the word start.
Yeah. Why were you so pissed?
That is the question of the ages, man. I think that should be the title of this episode. Why were you so pissed?
Why were you so pissed?
Oh God, that's the theme.
Yeah, I know. I mean, dude, I met you at my second meeting, and actually you gave me that big book right there.
Oh,
yeah, it was at the St. Matt's Wednesday big book meeting.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you remember we had coffee before that?
Did we?
Yeah.
Fuck no, I was so out of my mind at that point.
It's okay. I remember. Yeah, I think Colleen introduced us.
Yeah, she did.
And I had coffee, and then we met at that. We were like, well, hey, let's go make sure we hit this meeting. Yeah. And so maybe you'd gone to one before or something.
Yeah, I did. She took me to the one up at the hospital.
Oh, yeah, so, right. Yeah. And then she asked me if I talked to her. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then like, let's hit this other meeting. And so we went to that one. And
God, I can't believe it's like not there in my head at all.
It's okay. It's a good time. It's a good time to start hitting meetings. That's you're not the first person to come around in that sort of condition.
But the thing I picked up like right away was like, this dude's fucking cool, but he's wound tight like I am.
Damn it, is that obvious?
And now that we've been friends forever, or almost like 10 years, and so I know a lot about you. But there are like little details that I'm curious about, and hearing that you were like the metal atheist at an all boys private school, just like, okay, you were fucking mad at somebody.
I'm not sure that's the right word to use there. I might still be mad, and I don't honestly know why. I can't line out like, well, gee, Ryan, what in your life do you really, when you think about it, is unfair?
Where to begin?
Yeah, I don't know, middle class white guy, good family. Too much food, jeez.
I have all the chocolate I could ever want.
Yeah, I don't feel so put upon when I look at it like that. I don't know, man. It's just something inside, and I mean, like, that's the root of the competitiveness too. I mean, I think when you boil it all down, it's just got to be fear. Because there's no other reason for it. I mean, like, when I talk about competitive, it's everything. Like, I go to the gas station and I'm thinking, fuck, I got to get that pump, man. I got to make sure that I can get that one. I'm on a corner with 4 gas stations, but I need to make sure, and I'm not low on gas. It's not an emergency. I just need to make sure that I beat out that other person.
Yeah. You see the turn signal, you're like, fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm getting pumped for.
Yeah, I might have to push this minivan out of the way, but I'm getting it. But it's like that with everything. The cereal in the aisle. And I think it's just that sort of general anxiety that's.
Has that always been there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
From jump. So as far back as you can remember, you were like always wound up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and this is like, what you're seeing now, this is the product of, years of therapy and prescription medication, which I'm still on.
Oh, I know.
This is an improvement, believe it or not.
My psychiatrist is like, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I'm like, I think I want to try and get off of it. And he's like, okay, I mean, your choice. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I can do it.
No.
And he's like, I don't think you ever will.
I'm glad you ran the thought experiment on that one.
But Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
So were you born and raised there?
That's what they tell me. Yeah.
That's what they tell me.
No, I was definitely raised there. And I'll have to take my parents' word for it on the born part. But okay. Yeah, I mean, that's...
You look like one of them, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I am my parents' son. No doubt there.
Baton Rouge, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. What was that like?
It's not. Oh, it's not where I'm supposed to be. It's a fine town. Like
Right.
A lot of people love it there.
Yeah.
Most of my family is still down in the South there somewhere. And, I have a handful of friends down there, and I still love the food and the people when they go visit. I mean, it's great, and, everyone's wonderful, but it's just, it's not my frequency.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yeah. There's a certain, I don't know, like rhythm or tension. When I lived in Atlanta for a while, and again, it's another great city. It's a booming place. Like every time, we've gone back, we're just blown away by how much it's grown up since we've been gone. How much it's.
Were the kids, any of your kids born
Both.
in Atlanta? Both
Yeah.
were born in Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've been here 10 years now, and, the place has just exploded. But it's just not right for me. There's something about, and when I came to Chicago to check it out and see if I was going to live here, on the bus from the airport to my hotel, these two guys get in a fight on the bus.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is
me.
great. Yeah, this is exactly where I should be. I mean, it was fantastic. Two middle-aged guys, just, I don't know what they were fighting. Just all of a sudden start duking it out. There's like 7 of us on the bus. Two of them are these combatants.
Oh my God.
The bus driver is yelling, as most fist fights go. It lasted about 7 seconds. Both of them are exhausted, so they sit down. The bus driver drives to the next stop.
You're like,
I
I'm
don't even think either of them got off. We're just like, all right, well, screw that. I guess it's over.
I found my people. Oh my
Yeah, but
God.
I knew right then. I'm like, yeah, well, this is definitely where I belong.
So, I felt that way too. Like where I grew up, beautiful. It's beautiful. It's very, parts of it are rural. It's kind of like country. My dad was a logger, and I just never felt like I fit in ever.
Yeah.
And, I ended up living in Portland for a long time, and then we would come and visit here after Nancy and I met. We were dating. We would come back and visit. And I was like, fuck, this is like, I don't know. This is, I think, more where I belong. Like it's like crazy town here. And that kind of like fits my brain because it's like a popcorn machine in my head most days.
Yeah. So Colleen, who we mentioned earlier, I've known her forever. And when we came back at one point to visit, we stopped by them to say hi, and we were in their apartment. And at this point, we had looked at other cities. We knew Atlanta probably wasn't it. And we were considering some other places, Boston and Denver, maybe a different house in Atlanta, ABCD, and then, Chicago. So I guess that was the C. And I'm sitting there on their couch, and there's the right amount of like traffic noise.
Yeah.
And just sort of like everything is like there's a baseline of like, I don't know, 60 decibels.
Yeah.
That is
there's like
quiet.
a constant hum. Yeah.
And
right.
I'm just like, oh, this is exactly right. This is just, I need that to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
There's not like a certain pressure in traffic and sort of intensity. I don't seem to operate right. I don't know what it is.
I'd like it for me, like, getting out where it's quiet. I don't know. There's something kind of cozy and like it reminds me of home, I guess. But I often wonder, like, could I go back to living in like a small, quiet town?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so programmed now, and it's like, I got sober here, so could I be sober with that much fucking time on my hands? I don't know. Like, luckily, our kids were a certain age. And as they've gotten, my sobriety has prolonged, like they're more and more active, and I'm always busy doing something. I don't have enough time to like really, I do make enough time to get inside my head, but not
I've
like
got an hour of driving each way every day.
Not like it is when you just go outside and stand, to look around.
Yeah, that's what I see when we go to the country. Just standers.
We call it having a stand.
Yeah, look at that guy. He's just
Out there having a
he's been there
stand
for a while.
holding a chicken. So did you get sober here?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I'm going to go back a second. You lived in Salt Lake City for
Went to school there. Yeah.
What year?
from 95 to 99.
Okay. All right. So I lived out there in like 93 to 94. So I was just wondering if we ever had like any overlap. So you were drinking in Salt Lake City, which is like an Olympic sport unto itself, trying to get alcohol in Salt Lake City in the mid 90s. In the 90s, it was fucking so difficult.
Well, there's a thriving underground. I mean, I think if anybody wants something, they'll find a way to get it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and I found a way. And for the first year that I was out there, I was actually the first like 2 years, I was so busy. I mean, I was in school from like 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And then I had to work full time. First as like a dishwasher, where my shift was from, I think it was like 5:30 until like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And so I was doing that 5 days a week. And then I went to wait tables, and we got out of there a little earlier. You know, we'd be out by like 9:30, 10 or something. But still, you know, I was running pretty ragged this first couple of years. When I wasn't at work out or school, I was just sleeping. But then later on, I started hitting my stride, as it were. By the end, I was working at the state wine store. You know, which is a job.
Shit in Salt Lake. You were working.
Yeah, because they only had like 3-2 beer in the stores.
Yeah.
And then
we would drink these like quart bottles of 3-2 Coors.
Yeah,
you had to piss so much before you even caught a buzz.
A lot of pee. Yeah. So I mean, it is at altitude, which sort of helps.
It does, but not like not how I wanted to do it.
No. But yeah, at the end, I was working at the wine store and waiting tables and going to school. It was, I like being busy, apparently.
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think so, like judging by the amount of time I've spent playing Zelda or something, which is upsetting. But
speaking of competitive,
yeah.
How many controllers did you go through?
I think we're at 6 now.
Oh my god!
Well, I don't know. It's not just me. The kids,
I know,
occasionally also use it, but yeah, they don't seem to last the way the old ones did. Man,
no, you can't. Like you throw them once and they're toast.
I was telling my kids, I'm like, man, the original Nintendo, you could spike those things onto
a
cement floor, and it was fine.
Yeah, it was indestructible.
Yeah,
many walls and TV screens that have been thrown at.
So many.
What? So you started drinking at 12? What? Like
No.
Your first drink was at 12?
No, my first cigarette was at 12.
Oh, that's right. When did you start drinking then? That's right. The cigarette was at 12.
Not till I was 8.
8?
Well, it was.
That took me by surprise.
Okay, so some qualifications there.
Yeah,
it wasn't like full-time drinking since 8. 8 was the first time when I remember I was at a party my parents' friends were having. They had like an open bar, you know, in the yard or whatever. And me and their son were like sneaking back there. And it was like, oh, we can have some of these wine coolers. And it was the first time and I had no idea what a wine cooler or any of that stuff was. I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But it was the first time I remember like, oh, maybe, you know, I had not experienced it before, but I got the idea that like you could do this and feel different. And I'm like, oh yeah, different would be good. Different would be all right. I am already like just a nest of anxiety. So yeah, sure. Let's take different. So that was the first time that I tucked in, you know, to try to be something else.
Right.
To alcohol. There were, you know, probably other things, food, etc. before that, but that was the first for that. And and then there was like, you know, a little bit of a break. Like I didn't drink a ton in high school. I mean, you know, sort of the requisite amount, but like there were kids in high school who were already going to rehab, you know, and I wasn't quite, you know, I would maybe go to parties on the weekend and have a few beers or whatever, you know, get a little tipsy, but not, you know, it wasn't, if it had stayed like that, I'd be okay.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's not where this went. And then, I mean, at that point it was quote unquote still quite manageable. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until that last couple of years of school and then the first several months of like being out of school and working where it was just like, well, this is not going to work anymore. It was pretty quick. Yeah. I was 22.
You flamed out pretty fast.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you. I mean, I can. I remember one time I went back into a coffee shop that I had worked at, and I had like a couple glasses of wine. And I just went over there to see some friends, or whatever. And the owner's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, good. I had a couple glasses of wine, and just I don't know why I felt I need to mention that, but I did." And he's like, keep an eye on that. Sometimes that stuff will sneak up on you. And that was like, if there's such a thing as foretelling, it was it was those words. And then yeah, so and that was kind of like, that really was like the beginning of the slide, where it was like, well, yeah, I mean, after I can mark it like that clock right then, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. And then by the time I graduated from school, I made it out, but it was like the drinking was pretty heavy, and it was pretty much every night. And by the time I started,
were you drinking alone?
not all the time.
Okay.
A bunch of us lived together. I mean, there was like a dorm, and
sure.
so it was a bit of a party scene. But yeah, I mean, I would drink alone, sure, if no one else was there. But I just occasionally had company. Well, the other thing too is, like, I'm a night owl, so I would stay up until like 2, 3, 4 and work.
Yeah.
And most of the others would, like sensible people, go to bed. And I wasn't like drinking the entire time I was doing that. I mean, I was actually getting stuff done, but like at the end, you'd have a beer or something. But yeah, I mean, at the end, when I had moved to Chicago for the first time and I was working, I didn't really know anyone here. I'd never lived in Chicago before, and I just had this apartment across the street from this park. And it was this great apartment. There were these enormous picture windows, and I would just be sitting there in the dark, drinking, looking out at the people playing baseball, or softball, Chicago Rules
the fuck out of them.
Yeah, just being so fucking pissed at like, oh, mother, I just, I really loved baseball, and I wanted to play, but I just, like, I just couldn't get, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out there. I mean, I think once I walked across the street, I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, well, there's a league, you got to join up. And I was like, all right, well, fuck this. And clearly it's not going to work, and stumbled back across the street. But yeah, I mean, that was all solo, just every night, couple bottles of wine, Scotch.
Yeah. You're a Scotch guy.
Oh, God. Yeah, I love Scotch.
Just sitting alone drinking Scotch.
Sure.
It's miserable, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Scotch was the good stuff. At the end, it was just, like really brutal Irish whiskey. I mean, paint thinner stuff,
Mine was brandy. Cheap brandy.
Yeah.
Oof, God.
Yeah, I like brandy too.
Yeah, brandy's good, man.
Oh, sure, the good stuff.
Yeah.
The bad stuff is not. Turpentine and
were you sober when your apartment did it blow up or catch fire? What happened with your apartment?
It burned down.
Okay.
Yes.
You were sober when that happened.
I was. And in fact, we could, from where I worked, we could see the smoke. It was like a lot of black smoke. I mean, I basically lived, you couldn't go into the direct line because there was a train line, metro line through it, which is like the large commuter rail. But it was probably like the equivalent of 4 blocks away. And we looked, where I sat, I could look right out, and all of a sudden there's all that like black, like inky black smoke, and we thought there was a car dealership close by.
Oh, like somebody burned cars.
Yeah, we thought a car is going up, and it was like gasoline smoke, and
it was just your couch.
Yeah, exactly. It was my boss, who also lived over in that area, his wife went to go like see what was up.
Oh, wow.
And she comes back, she's like, Ryan, you gotta go, your building's on fire. And I was like, oh crap. Well, is it like, because my building was kind of L-shaped, I'm like, well, is it on my side of the building or is it the other side? She's like, no, man.
It's like your apartment.
Your building is on fire. Now, it was on the opposite side of the L from me, but this was a building that was built like pre-1900s. Mm-hmm. There were no fire blocks.
Yeah.
And it got into the roof and the whole
like
place. By the time I walked over there to see what was going on, like they had fire trucks from every town around, and they were just like knocking out windows, and the flames were shooting out, and they were just spraying right into it. And I'm like, well, that's gonna be this.
That's that's everything I own,
pretty much.
Yeah. I had that happen when I was a kid. Our house burned down. It was a double wide trailer. I think it had like bad wiring in it, and same thing, man. It just like went up in no time.
Yeah.
And you go to school with like a bedroom full of all your cool Star
Yep.
Wars stuff, and then you come home like 4 hours later and it's just gone. It's really wild.
Yeah, it was kind of, oh man, this was a resentment. Maybe that it still comes up from time to time, but like, so my apartment was on the first floor and it got waterlogged. Oops. But it didn't get burned. And I was like, there's some stuff in there I could get. And they're like, no, you cannot go in there. Like the floors are deflected. The building is condemned. You cannot go in.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we could make a list of like 3 things we wanted the fire department to try to get out. I'm like, well, I need my social security card. There's this one little stuffed animal I've had for like years and years and years. Try to grab that. And, but there was another 1 or 2 things I put down. And they actually got more than that out. And then I'm like, okay, great. Well, there's like a room in the back and there's a bandsaw and a bunch of tools. And can we see if that's okay? And they're like, no, we're done. Like, all right. So I lost like just a shitload of, years and years of material that I'd been collecting in tools and, forms and stuff that I had made and just, that really set me back for a number of years. And, the insurance company that I was with at the time was like, well, you missed a payment by like just literal minutes. And so you're not covered.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Oh, they're bastards. Man.
Yeah. And they had cashed the check too. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
You took the money.
Yeah. And they're like, oh no, here's a refund for it. Now I've since learned in 20 something years that like I had a claim there, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that really hurt. That still is like a deep cut. And I talked to some other folks who had been in the building, like and the place got torn down by the owner's demolition company before the fire department had finished their inspection. And some of the firefighters like, I don't know, I saw some of your stuff. Like the saw was fine, and we could have gotten that out. And there was some other stuff that it seemed okay, and it was just like.
Speaking of insurance, honey.
Yeah. So I mean, there was some that one hurt.
Okay. Oh, fuck, man.
And conversely, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because while that just completely sucked, it also showed me that. Even when your place literally burns down, you can get through things without having to drink about them, which, I would have thought for sure, like if there was something that we're going to do, it'd be something on that magnitude, right? Like I had no insurance. I lost pretty much everything and I still got through it.
How long have you been sober?
24 years.
24 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long had you been sober when your apartment caught fire?
About 7 months.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it was. Now, I would say that at the time, I had a really good network of folks that I had kind of thrown myself into. I had nothing else going on. I'm not from Chicago. I didn't know anyone here. Like I didn't have a solid network of bars where they knew me because I couldn't afford to go to them. And
so you worked and drank.
I worked and drank. Yeah. So there wasn't a whole lot else to pull me away. And he was like, oh, I think there's a meeting tonight at like, let's see, that one's at 7:30 and I'm about half an hour away. And the people start getting there about half an hour early. Okay, so I'm going to leave like an hour and a half before the meeting and walk over there. I didn't have a car, thank God. So and this was like the winter of 99, and we got like a shit ton of snow. And so I love snow and being out in the cold. And so I would have like the best time walking to the meeting, smoking cigarettes, just out in the snow. And it was fantastic. But I would go like, 5 meetings, 6 meetings a week. Mm-hmm. So I was like pretty well in to the meat and potatoes of it. And then when the shit hit, actually that night, that was a Wednesday night, and I there was a meeting, and I went to the meeting, and I'm like, if it's okay, I'd like to get deleted. Because, I mean, the whole place, you could smell, it was like thick with smoke still.
So you could smell it in the meeting.
Oh, yeah, because it was only like a half mile away. And I'm like, so the apartment building that burned down, it was mine. And I lost everything I owned. And I don't know what I have no idea how this is going to play out. But I know that I'm supposed to come to a meeting and not drink, and that's what I'm doing. And it was great, like the people at the meeting, like they all rallied, and one of the guys that I knew him and his wife. He's like, I mean, you're you can stay with us until you have it worked out. You know, just as long as you need, no problem. We got a basement. You can just live in there. You know, it's got its own entrance. You can come and go as you please, you know. So land there. And then I was only there, I think like, it ended up being about 2 weeks, but like we grilled every night. And I mean, it just, they totally made me feel welcome. And it was, you know, and everybody was giving me whatever they could spare. Like I had so many coffee tables in dish towels. It was just incredible. But I mean, people really were trying, you know, maybe like, you know, do you need anything? Do you need this? Do you need that? And the guy that I worked for, like, totally, I mean, so when we found out it was my apartment building that's burning down, he just like reaches into his back pocket, he hands me $200 cash and a key to his place. He's like, here, this is what I got now. As soon as you need any more, let me know. You can sleep at our place. Don't come back to work until you have a place to live and your shit sorted, but don't worry, we're going to pay you. You know, and it's just like, yeah. So, I mean, again, through all the shit that I feel like I've gone through, you know, I've been really lucky. There's been a really strong, it's not even a net. Like I've just had, you know, good soft landings kind of throughout my life in a lot of ways. So, you know, while it did suck to lose all that material and it held me up professionally for a little while in terms of some things I could be doing that I just didn't want to because I lost a lot of the groundwork for it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you literally got like, you lost everything and through sobriety, like made yourself, like kind of, did you sort of like, I mean, you could look at it like you made yourself.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, literally that is what happened. Yeah. I lost everything. I mean, there were a handful of things I had at work, right?
Oh, sure. But I mean,
I had the bike I rode to work on and the shirt on my back and the things, you know, the tools and a few things I had at work and everything else was toast. Yeah. And
did you ever like have the urge to drink during that? Do you remember?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
I know there was a lot going on and it was a while ago. So
yeah, I mean, so specifically I was working with a sponsor then as this happened and we were talking about turning one's life over and not trying to, you know, realizing that I could give up some control over things. And I just remember I'm like, Russ, it's not working, man. I cannot let go of things. Like I just can't, you know, I'm struggling with this, you know, maybe I should, you know, pray for some guidance or strength or something. He's like, whoa, no, don't do that. Because if you pray for strength, you're going to get it, but not in the way that you probably find pleasant.
I don't have enough to bail you out, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. So, I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm really having trouble letting go of things, you know? And then, so I'm standing in the football field, aforementioned, across the street from my apartment. Right. And I borrowed somebody's cell phone. I called Russ. I'm like, hey man, Russ having you know, like trouble letting go of things. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm standing here and I'm watching, you know, like fire engine number 12 pump water into my apartment, and I cannot control this one, man. I get it. I'm completely out of control here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's nothing I can do, and I'll see you at the meeting tonight, you know, if you're free.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we'll go from there.
Good talk.
I do not learn things the easy way a lot of times.
Neither do I, man.
So, yeah, I mean, that was
repetitive mistakes over and over.
Oh God.
And over.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This one, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty clean break. I got it there. But I was, you know, I was real lucky in that when I came into this program, like I there was no mistaking that it was done.
Yeah.
Or at least that like I couldn't make this work. I'm really grateful for that. I mean, I went to my first meeting and there was a guy there who like, okay, so I'm 22 and this guy was like 31 or 33 years sober or something, you know, like he knew my grandfather, you know, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. I mean, he's 31 years sober. I'm only I don't have any context for that length of time.
Yeah,
just
you're
like,
22 years old.
Like, I don't know, you're part of the machine, man. Whatever that is, they got you, you know. But anyway, I was in a place where I was able to listen, and he's like, listen, you say, you know, you're not sure you belong here. Cause I was kind of coy about it in my first meeting. I was like, I don't know, maybe this is, you know. And he's like, so try this, you know, go home and pour out what's your favorite drink? And I'm like, well, I like single malt scotch. He's like, okay, yeah, great, whatever. So go get your favorite stuff. You know, I don't care how expensive it is. Go get the favorite bottle of whatever it is you fancy, your single malt scotch. And every night for 2 months, I want you to pour out 2 shots measured of scotch and put the bottle away. And for 2 months, every night, if you can drink those 2 measured shots of scotch out and be done, then you're fine. You don't need us. If you find out that you go back after that,
come talk to me.
Yeah, we meet here on Tuesdays. And I didn't even have to try it. You know, I was just like, man,
I can't do that.
I've been trying to do that for a while now, and I know that it doesn't work that way.
I mean, I still have that problem. Not with booze, but like food in particular, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm always like going back for more.
Yeah, don't leave me with the Oreos.
Oh, fuck, man. Fresh or stale, I don't care. I'll eat them.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. You know, anything there. And I have my preferences, but it's like, well, I'm feeling a little peckish. I know I'm just eating lasagna, but I really need something to
Just gonna
put this to bed. Oh, look.
How about a sleeve of Oreos?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I never had to try that. And then, you know, actually, so I got sober in 99, right? And I met the guy who's going to be my sponsor in like December of 99. And I'm like, hey, Russ, you know, people say I should get a sponsor. I'm kind of wondering if maybe you'd be interested in doing it. He's like, wait, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 22. And he's like, how long have you been sober? I'm like, oh, you know, like 3 weeks now. He's like, oh, fuck, man. You don't stand a chance. Why don't you just come back in February or something and we'll talk, you know? He's like, you're never going to make it through the millennium. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I think I should probably stay here. He's like, okay, well, fine. You know, here's my phone number. We should probably talk, you know. And I mean, but it was like, yeah, this is not going well. You know, I wasn't afraid of dying. I wasn't
You were like reserved, like resigned, I should say, to the fact that that's probably what is going to happen, right? Like,
no, I wasn't even that. I mean, I come from a very strong and stubborn people. I mean, I was 22. You know, like I had 2 grandparents die in their 50s from alcoholism, but like I could not imagine 50. I couldn't imagine 25, dude. And so I'm having this.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I had this moment where I realized, like, on my last night. I mean, I was in the apartment building that burned down, and I had spent the whole day so nauseous. I was trying not to throw up at work, and I made it. You know, like, I made all the promises. I'll never do this again, whatever. And then at 4:30, I started to feel not nauseous. Okay, all right, not drinking, but made it through the day. Nothing broke. I'm here. You know, went home. I did not go to the Jewel to pick anything up on my way home, which was like a well-worn path at that point. In fact, I knew the same cashier. Like, Mary was always there every day. I'd go to the liquor store. Fucking Mary is there again. And it got to the point where Mary's like, hey, you're here a lot. I'm like, yeah, Mary, can we just bring up the stuff? You know, it's like, you know, you buy a lot of wine. I'm like, that's right, I do. I have a lot of friends come over. Can you just ring this up? I really don't have a conversation about it. Just come on, you know. It's like, well, you know, why don't you ever ask your friends to buy any of the wine? It's like, oh God, okay. It got to the point where I would try to like go to the liquor section, get what I was going to drink, and then go to like one of the other cashiers. Like, you know, like I also need bread. You know, forgot that. And then inevitably, I'd go to that cashier and they'd be like, 21 on aisle 6. You know, and so then guess who comes over to ring it up? Fucking Mary. That's right. Mary comes over. Oh, hey, it's you again. Oh my God, get this. Is there no one else here at the store? You know, can ring this up.
Oh, I know that, man.
So I skipped over visiting Mary that night. I went straight home. and I was gonna cook some chicken, and I had 2 beers in the fridge. I think that and 2 beers is not drinking as far as I was concerned. That was just sort of like
wetting your whistle.
Yeah, moisturizer. Yeah. And I cracked one open, and I took one sip, man, and immediately I just felt nauseous all over again.
Yeah,
and I mean, it was just like everything hit, and I realized like I had like a vision, and I'm like, man, you're going down on a spiral, and it's not a short one, and there's no stop, and you're just going to keep going down maybe until you're as old as 40. Like this is just going to keep getting worse, and it's probably the drinking that's doing it. And so now what? And that's when a family member of mine who had some experience with the program called and was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And I'm sitting there and I'm burning the chicken, and I was like, I told him a little bit what's going on. He's like, "Yeah, I think you might have a drinking problem." Oh shit. Yeah, you're probably right. I do. And so I hung up with him, and I called another family member that I know, and I'm like, Mom.
That's right. I forgot she was sober.
I think I've got a problem drinking. She's like, yeah, no shit. It's comforting words. And
is that what she said? Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, really. That was like, yeah, no shit. And then she followed up with a whole bunch of like, that it's good that you know that, and there's a way to address this.
Okay.
And
fucking amazing.
I know some people, when you come home, let's talk. And because I was going home for Thanksgiving just a few days later, and she's like, maybe try to hit an AA meeting while you're down there or up there before you come. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, fuck that, I didn't do it, but I did stop drinking then, but I was just miserable. And then that's when I went to my first meeting where the gentleman there had invited me to start drinking more scotch.
That's such an old school.
Yeah, it is. And when
try controlled drinking.
Yeah, I mean, and it's advice I still give, and I know some people hate when I say it, and I can understand why, but I can honestly say that like the people who told me that were the ones that really just it's like pouring water into the ashtray. Like whatever smoldering hope there is left, it's out. Like I knew that's like, man, this is it. You're done. Like you don't have to quit drinking. You can go back and do it, but like you're not gonna. It's never gonna be manageable again. So decide, which way you go in here. Now, I mean, that was when, as I kind of classify it, like the obsession with drinking stopped. So we're like every day, every moment I was either drinking or thinking about it. Mm-hmm. That's
a lot of fucking work.
Oh God.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. That's when that ended. The compulsion will still pop up every now and then in the weirdest spot. I remember one time I was with this tri club, and we had gone to do some open water swimming. Mm-hmm. So we're out in the middle of a lake, and I'm wearing a wetsuit, and I'm in the middle of this, I'm like a mile into the swim. Okay. And I can perfectly taste this 10-year-old scotch that I used to buy. I mean, perfectly. And I'm just like, where the hell is that coming from? I don't.
The subconscious, man.
I am in the middle of a damn lake. I got somebody who's trying to kick me in the face here while we're swimming, and suddenly, like, I can taste it, And it wasn't even like I wanted it, but it was just like, that'd be all right. Like, what the hell?
I mean, what do you do with that? I mean,
well, okay, so yeah, that's a great question. What do you do with that? And early on in one of the meetings, sometime around when the apartment building burned down, I was sitting in the meeting, and I was just thinking about gin and tonics, which I had drank for a while.
Okay.
And I was like, gosh, maybe a gin and tonic would be a good idea. And I'm like, no, I know that's a bad idea. Like, what the hell? But I couldn't shake it. And it was kind of messing with me. And afterwards, there was another guy and his girlfriend there that I had kind of become friends with. And I'm like, and they'd been around for several years at that point in the program. And I'm like, hey, did you guys ever, think about drinking in the meeting? And they're like, of course, man. I remember Craig was like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, dude. That shit hits me all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was real good at. And yeah, sometimes he's like, well, what do you do? He's like, I just wait for it to go, you just wait for it to pass.
Yeah.
And know that, like, thoughts are not actions.
Yeah.
And that stuff's going to come and go, and you don't have to act on it. And eventually it'll pass. It's
the patience part of like living that I've gotten a lot better about patience, but it's the patience and impulse are like two difficult things for me. Like,
yeah,
I act on too many impulses when I should just like wait and let it pass, because it will, whether it's like, and I have found that the impulse only hangs around like, maybe it's 5 minutes, but it's only 5 minutes. I mean, shit, you could like, I don't know, go outside and have a stand for 5 minutes.
We know a good stand is somewhere in the 4-hour range. If you're going to go all that way out to the country, you're not, 30 minutes isn't going to cut it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Until a bird lands on you, you've still got some more time to put in.
My dad used to have he had a workshop where we lived. My dad was a tinkerer, and he would get up early because he was raised on a farm. And so he was just programmed to be up at like 4:30 every day. So he would be up, and then after a while, he'd just go outside because everybody's asleep. And he's like, I got to do something. So he would just like, I don't know, take apart the toaster.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Dad. Yeah.
No. But he would go out and tinker. And he would leave the door open to the workshop. And he would wear these like kind of thick flannel coats. And occasionally, I think this happened once or twice, so not occasionally, but like a sparrow would come in and land on his shoulder, but he wouldn't feel it.
Yeah.
And he would turn, and there'd be like this fucking bird staring him in the face. Anyway, little side thing. So, I've learned a lot about being sober from you. And one thing that and I think I even wrote it on the inside of my book there, was like that expectations become resentments or breed resentment. And that, fuck, man, that took me a long time to figure out. And I have finally accepted, like, I can't really set any expectations on people or events or anything, because they're never going to turn out the way I have expected it to in my mind. And I'm always going to be pissed or disappointed or grumpy. And so now I've really tried to just be like, all right, I guess that's what you want to do. Okay, go fucking do it. I don't, whatever happens, happens. And that, it was such a wonderful piece of advice that I have worked on and worked on and worked on. So I just wanted to make sure I told you that. And, is that like, how did that come up? Is that just something that you were told or you learned about yourself? Like,
no, it was definitely something I was told. I haven't well, first of all, I have trouble accepting compliments. So thank you for saying that. I mean, it's, some point around the time when the apartment was burning down, and I was kind of, it wasn't like I sailed through it. It sucked.
Yeah.
One of the guys said to me, like, hey, I don't know why this is happening to you, and I don't know what's going to happen because of it, but like at some point you're going to meet someone else whose apartment has also burned down, and you'll be able to say like, oh yeah, that really sucked, and I got through it. And that will be a true experience for you that you can share. And it's the same thing with that, that truism or quote or whatever it is. Expectations are just resentments in advance, or
that's
something.
What it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
And it's definitely something that I heard someone else say. I wasn't standing out in the country, and that came to me. I probably would if I gave that a shot.
Stroking the chicken.
Yeah, I think that's something different.
I got
probably get arrested if I did that outside.
Well, I don't know, depending where you are. Somebody might join you.
I'm not, okay, that might be worse. But it's just one of those things, and it is true. Like, and I wish I wish it was one of those things I remembered kind of in the moment and not in arrears. Like, oh yeah, you were expecting your wife to do this, and then instead of ordering out dinner, she decided that we were going to make dinner instead when you were, and then you got shitty about it. Like, oh yeah, that would have been, man, if in the moment I had just caught that and been like, okay, so it's not a big deal, just see it for what it is, right? Like, you were kind of hoping this would happen and it didn't happen. So it's like, get over it, man.
I had that almost the exact same thing happened tonight. Like, I went to the St. Matt's meeting and I hadn't been in a long time.
Yeah.
And so I got home at like 7:30, 7:40. You were coming at 8. And I fully expected there'd be some kind of dinner-ish thing.
Yeah, roast.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Where is my loin? And we had a really good family weekend of like going down into the city and doing things. And today we found ourselves back in the city and we stopped off and had kind of a late-ish lunch. We had some tacos. And the kids like didn't finish the burritos. Anyway, what I'm getting at is like, I came home and Nancy's like, hey, I didn't make any dinner. I'm really not hungry still from lunch. And the boys had their leftovers. She's like, is that okay? Are you hungry? And I'm like, actually, I'm really hungry. She's like, okay. And then after I said it, I was like, but it's cool. It's okay. I'm like going to figure it out.
Oh, good. Yeah,
and she's like, she
nice.
was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I can feed myself. Right. But that first reaction,
somewhere in my 40s, like, I learned the trick.
Oh my God, I can make a peanut butter jelly sandwich at night.
Yeah. Holy crap.
But anyway, this has been a blast, dude. I'm really, really happy we did this.
Me too.
And again, there was a reason why I waited, because I wanted to be able to like have this kind of conversation with you without, not knowing what I was doing.
So we're recording it this time, right?
Yeah, this is good. But again, dude, I have to tell you, like, you mean a lot to me. Like, you really helped me out in getting sober early on. And, you were like the first constant in my life. We started the meeting. Basically, we started that together, man. Like, you have...
I think you did all the legwork there. I might have shown up and eaten the cookies.
But it's like having you there... I don't know. You were like a pillar of strength for me, but also you added so much knowledge for other people, and you do good work, man. You do really good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate that, and I mean, I hope I'm not great at following up on this, but one of the things I try to remember is that my goal is to be of service to my fellows.
Yeah,
and most days I fall pretty short of that, but a lot of times I'm doing it and I don't know that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that, because it, I think we all have dark days, and knowing sometimes that you're helping out, maybe just by showing up. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a lot of it. It was always that way for me, because there were times, it was just me sitting up there by myself. But you came to the first few meetings, and I mean, it's hard. Like, it was new. People were getting used to like this weird schedule that I had set up for it.
No, it was perfect for me.
Yeah.
It was like, we did it, so we could help put the kids to bed and slate a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great.
And it's just, it has just blossomed, and you're like a big part of it. So thank you for that. Cause I'm really proud of what it's become. It's like,
oh, you should be. It's huge now. Like, there's, on the regular 20 dudes, and it's a tight knit community, and I love it. I mean, not a whole lot of things get in the way of that, that this meeting that you've started in your house has been tremendous. I mean, it's a really tight knit group of guys, and there's a lot of sort of, it's like there's a few sponsored kind of families in there, but I think more than that, fortunately, like, there's a lot of guy, like, I don't know, we all help each other out.
Yeah.
I'll text some of the other guys in there who, aren't like my sponsor or whatever, but I know them because I see them
Yeah, all the
every
time.
Thursday.
Every
you know?
Thursday
Yeah.
they're here. I know.
And I mean, you know, we've really gotten to know one another, and it's tremendous. Like I really am grateful that you've done that too. So you've definitely, it was worth having that coffee with you that one time almost 10 years ago that you don't remember.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
Before we finish, it's like the one thing that I've been like continuously preaching while doing this project is that like you and I got sober through AA, and there's many different ways to get sober. It doesn't have to be AA.
Nope.
But I firmly believe that the one constant in any format or way that you choose to get sober in is the people. You're never going to do it on your own. So if you choose to go down the sobriety road, like just be open to having people around you. Like you need that fucking support, because I mean, I blow a gasket some days and I don't know how I'd reel it back in if I didn't like call somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that's been true for me. I gather that there's probably people in, you know, like remote places who got sober via correspondence in the early days.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, more power to anyone who does that.
But writing's a big thing too. Even if you don't have somebody, you can write a letter to them, and they may never see it. But by the time you finish that exercise, you're like, well, fuck, I feel so much better now. Yeah, no, there's truth to that. I mean, but to me, the network is huge. I mean, you know, it is sort of my social network. I mean, I got sober. I didn't know anyone else here. I mean, I didn't have a social network, and because I had left it all behind, you know, when I left school. And I mean, I grew up in and among the people in this program. You know, like to the extent that I have free time, it's usually going to a meeting. And you know, now there are a few other places here and there, but the meeting is still where I know people the most. Yeah. You know, like I see some other parents for school things or whatever for my kids, and you know, it's great, but I don't know them the same way that, like, I know the guys from Thursday when we talk about like, and this week this shit happened, you know, and I struggled with it and I wanted to kill somebody and I acted like a real shithead. You know, that's usually just you.
It is usually just me. Yeah, I've been on a tear with that lately. I'm not proud of it, but I'm glad. I'm glad that I have a place to do it, and I'm glad that. I mean, I think, you know, we tend to focus a lot on drinking in AA. I mean, but it really was just sort of the veneer that I was putting over the real problems in my life. Yeah, you know it. I quit drinking, and it's like, well, there's a whole unblemished, undisguised, and in focus shit show that still needs to be dealt with. You know, going back to that anxiety, you know, and that we started with, and I still have all that stuff, but now, as messy as it sometimes look, I have a much better way of dealing with it. It doesn't, you know, involve me throwing up every night before I go to sleep.
I couldn't have said it any better, dude. Thank you so much for this.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be asked.
Great.
And that was me and Ryan and us having a great talk. A lot of good stuff in there. You know, you can really overcome a lot being sober. The key component to that, though, is having people around you, having a group, a support group, a channel that you can use. However you choose to get sober, I don't care what anyone says, you're not going to be able to do it on your own. You just can't. You'll never get happy. You'll never get over that hump of sobriety without the people around you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're taking good care of yourself. I hope you're being kind and loving to others and being kind and loving to yourself. Make sure you give yourself that big old hug because you deserve it. All right? Go out and seize the day, people. It's kind of a fun thing when you do. And you don't need to have a drink when you do it. Just remember that. You don't have to drink. You can make that choice. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.